Uh, Arab, good evening.
Fred, am I audible and visible?
Yes, madam, I can hear you. Good evening, madam.
Evening or
So let me announce once again in our community. Please give us 5 more minutes. We'll start the session around 8:05, if it's okay.
Sure.
Good evening. Thank you for joining. This is 16th Town Hall of On-Chain Asia Hub. Once again, thank you so much, madam, for joining us today. It's my honor to invite Mrs. Shantapriya Mohan as the guest speaker for today's session. Today's session is going to be on AI compliance. Let me give a quick introduction. So madam has over 19 years of experience, industry experience on AI governance, has been a product owner previously in major corporate companies. And she's also an entrepreneur, a mentor, chapter lead at AI Collective, Chennai, and a lot of other things. Please, I'll hand over to Madam Shantapriya. Yes, madam.
Thanks, Fred. Let me try to share my screen.
Okay.
Is it visible?
Yes, madam. You can see your screen.
You can see the presentation, right?
Yep.
Okay, before we dive into today's topic, like Fred said, I will not take much time to introduce myself because Fred did a good job already. But hi everyone, I'm Shantapriya. In my professional network, I'm referred to as SP because I work with a lot of European and US counterparts who find my name difficult to pronounce. So you can refer me as SP if you're comfortable with that. So I have 19 years of experience in the industry. Recently, currently I'm employed with US Bank. I head the AI compliance for audits. So basically, financial model because it's a bank, so there are a lot of financial models built using AI and Gen AI models are there. So I work on establishing a governance framework, compliance and governance framework for those models within the organization, and make sure that they don't at any point of time spoil the reputation, the brand value of the company that I'm working for. So that's what I do in my current role. In my LinkedIn profile could be shared if you want to know my rest of the background. So with that, to this group, I understood I got introduced to Fred through AI Collective. So I understood that there is this community that is existing, and you all are, either AI developers or students or working elsewhere in or having some kind of tangent with AI and other related fields. So I thought it would be good to give this presentation here, this talk here, which will, I'm not going to promote any product here at the end. I understood that's what generally is planned for in this kind of meetings, but I will, of course, propose certain services that I do as a freelancer, and I have tie-ups with other small companies. I'll come to that later, but I want to impart some awareness and knowledge about what is happening in the market with respect to AI, which is very evident and obvious to people. But there's also a part which is not very obvious and evident to people, especially the people who are in the build of it. If you're already employed with companies who's building AI, or if you are a technical person building AI or Gen AI, then these are the things that I thought you should know and you should have in mind for the better future of it. So that's the context I wanted to set before I go through this. So there will be a lot of story-based illustrations that I say. There will not be much of theoretical boring screens or pictures. But then if it will be good if it is interactive also. I'll be asking some interactive, very simple questions based on what we are discussing. So if somebody can speak up, it would be very good if you interact and you can ask questions. We can put down your thoughts. You can challenge what I'm trying to tell here. That is also completely fine. So we all can learn together. So with this, we can start. What you see on the screen, the title, the topic of this today's session is what I wanted to give is full throttle, full control. So let me set the pitch for this. So this is the race for the future. Imagine you're sitting in a cockpit of a racing car, say Formula One car. The engine behind you isn't just powerful, it's a masterpiece of raw, terrifying speed. That engine is generative AI. Right now, every single one of your competitors, which is racing along with you, they all have their feet flat on the floor. They are all full throttle. They're racing to automate, racing to code, racing to market. But there is this reality check in the racetrack. So the fastest car on the track is not the one with the biggest engine or the best engine. It's the one with the best brakes. Why? Because if you know your brakes work, you can take the corners at 200 miles per hour. If you don't trust your steering, you will have to just slow down just to stay on the track. Right? So that's the need for full control when you are in full throttle. Otherwise, you're going to crash. Right? So what I'm going to tell is not to slow you down, but to give you full control. That is what is going to sustain in the long run. Otherwise, you might be first, you might be coming first, but you will break soon. So in order to sustain the race, in order to sustain, they're all talking about AI bubbles. No AI bubble is going to break is what everybody is saying, but who will survive after the bubble bursts are the people who can be trusted for their responsible AI. To the next slide. So let's talk some reality on the ground, some cases, some stories, some use cases that has happened. We'll discuss about it. So here I expect some interaction. If you know about this case already, if you have any specific opinion about it, you can share it. Well, the first case that I'm going to talk about is the Samsung secret leak. So the case here is that few years back, the employees of Samsung, of course, when the GPTs were released for the first time a couple of years back, people were very excited about it, and corporates were in the race of enabling these GPTs to their employees for the in terms of productivity, increase efficiency, things like that. So, without doing much of a check or research or analysis, GPTs were enabled inside the corporates. Sorry, someone was saying something. Okay. So GPTs were enabled inside the corporates for employees' free usage. So such same thing happened with the Samsung. But the employees were excited about it. And not many people knew what's behind those GPTs, how it works, how it is to be used, how it should be not used. All those things were not being given. The awareness was not there in the organization. So what happened? They use the GPT. They upload all the confidential documents, contracts, proprietary materials, IP materials, things in order to summarize and create charts and things like that. And then you can see what happened was the data from the company became the OpenAI's training data set, and the proprietary trade secrets were living in the public server. So this is what happened in Samsung, and they had to one fine day immediately shut down and stop the access to the rest of the company. So here what was going wrong is that they did not know that it's not just enough to use the open free version of the GPT, but the enterprise version, so that you have a private lane for yourself and your data is fenced, your chats and logs are all fenced, and it is not going to train the public model that is the version exposed to public, etc. So this is something like you want to adapt it first. You want to be first in the market, first in the race, that you don't think of what control is really required, then you do it and pay. So this is one example. And this is a famous case the Amazon recruitment bias. Anybody is aware of this? Anybody wants to give a hint? Okay, so Amazon recruitment bias few years back again. They were working on training an AI model, which will automatically screen the resumes that were coming into Amazon. People, when they are applying, there were thousands and thousands of resumes. So it was very tedious of a manual task to go through every resume and then shortlist them for further steps and all that. So they were building an AI model which would automatically map the job description with what is there in the profile, that is CV that is submitted, and it will shortlist for the next steps. So what happened interestingly here, and it was all on the news, is that this particular model was not shortlisting resumes with the word women in it. So, for example, if you are the chairman of the women's club, or if you are the mentor of a women's group, something like that, that particular word, whenever it was existing, it was not shortlisting that. So it was all over the news that somehow this trend got leaked outside the company, and it was all over the news that AI is building a bias against females, and they don't want to recruit them, things like that were spreading. So actually, when it was investigated, it was found that the training data set that was used to train the particular model was from the historical set, that is historical data of Amazon itself. And that majorly, a 90+% of it contained only resumes from males, resumes from males and not from females. So the model thought that whenever you get a female resume with a gender female, or if there is a woman's connection or links to this kind of words, it is not a right fit because of the past data that was used to train the model. So this was a huge, I wouldn't say monetary loss, but it was a huge impact on its reputation, Amazon recruitment. So they had to immediately fix it and then announce it to the public that it is something that was created by the bias inherently present in the data that they were using to train the model. So this is, again, I wouldn't say it is the race to the market, but it is something that as early as in that stage, this happened like 2-3 years ago, if I'm not wrong. So at that stage, people are not cautious about these kind of drawbacks or pitfalls that it could result in terms of increasing the efficiency. Of course, Amazon increased the efficiency by cutting down the manual cost of reviewing thousands and thousands of resumes. But it resulted in a huge impact in its brand because they looked at the bias that was inherently happening in their training days. The next story we are talking about is a Knight Capital glitch. If you've heard of it, it's a famous Wall Street story. Anybody is aware of this? No problem. Basically, what happened is they were writing, this was not AI or generative, it could be AI, but it's not generative AI, or it is not recent also. But it is quite interesting because, again, they were raising the market and they wanted to deploy a code which will automatically buy and sell in the market. So it flipped the game. They had developed it with a lot of investments, test runs and all that. But it flipped the game when it went live. It started buying high and selling low. So in 45 minutes of time that it was in production, the company lost around 450 million. You might wonder if you are in technical, if you are in a technical world, there will be a rollback switch or a kill switch for such kind of processes, right? That's quite obvious. But that was not there. To our surprise, it was not there. So the kill switch was not there, so they were not able to put down the system immediately. They had to work in the background to unplug the wires, things like that. So it took time. It took at least 45 minutes. Although they realized that the algorithm is not working, the way it is intended to, they were not able to shut it down immediately. And one of their servers were not up and running also. Deployment was not happening in that server, and that was also one of the reasons. Basically, the technical glitches and the guardrails that you will generally have when you take something to, yes, it's expensive, 45 minutes, very expensive. The guardrails that you will generally take, have when you take something to production, like rollback procedures, kill switch availability, configuration checks. I don't know how they overlooked this, but the cost of it was, like I said, 450 million. So that is something, again, it is again a race to market, right? They wanted to prove that they have an automated system, which will be intelligent system, which will make them flare well in the market, but it did not. It, the exact opposite happened. And then screen is are you all able to see my slides still?
Yep. I believe the entire screen is being shared instead of the window, if that is what you're trying to do, madam.
Okay, let me reshare. Just share the window.
Okay. Very interesting. I'm learning a lot. I'm sure others are as well. Feel free to ask if you have any questions, guys, and feel free to interact.
Is it up now?
Yep. Yes, madam.
Yeah. Oh, the last one is quite interesting. The Air Canada chatbot hallucination. This was, I think, last year, early last year, it was in the news. The case here is the traveler who's trying to book tickets in Air Canada. He has death in his family, bereavement in his family. He's traveling for the funeral. Okay, so he's trying to book the tickets in an urgency, personal emergency, and he's chatting with the Air Canada's chatter. So his Air Canada has this policy that if you are traveling for bereavement, they have some X percentage of discount in their fare when you buy the tickets. But this person was not able to get the discount when he was trying to book the ticket. So he started chatting with the chatbot, and then after a long sequence of chats, the chatbot said, okay, you can take the tickets now and you fly. When you come back, submit those tickets and your travel itinerary and proof of travel. And Air Canada will reimburse whatever that discount that it had to give originally. So since he was in an emergency, he took that. But one thing he did is he took this screenshot or snapshot of the chat which said Air Canada will refund the ticket because he would need it, right? So he was, he had that thought to take that screenshot, and then he left. He came back after a few days. He tried to apply for that refund, but Air Canada support staff were rejecting that claim, saying that the discount is only applicable before you fly while you book the ticket, but it's not going to happen in the retrospective manner. After you fly, you cannot submit and take the cash back or things like that. So since he had that screenshot, he was trying to get his case strong, that he was promised that he will be refunded, but the Air Canada did not budge it. So he had to file a case, and then the case went to court. And the final Air Canada argued that it will not take ownership of the chatbot, whatever the chatbot said, because it is provided by a third party. It was not built inbuilt, or it was not owned by the Air Canada as a brand, but it was some other third party from which they had purchased this and trained it to talk to their customers. So they will not own what the chatbot did. But the judge immediately, he gave the judgment that that's not acceptable. Accountability is something which is crucial. It is coming under the brand of Air Canada in the website of Air Canada and talking for Air Canada on the basis of the documents, policies, and procedures provided by Air Canada. So they cannot say that they're not responsible for it, right? So they have to pay for whatever the damages that is caused to that individual along with the refund. So this is what happened in this case. Why do you think this happened? What was the problem?
Maybe the model was not audited properly.
Yeah, it was not tested for its hallucination. Hallucination is a very obvious problem or a pitfall with generative AIs, especially, right? So you have to have your grounding documents very clear, version controls of the grounding documents. Make sure that it does not hallucinate. It is, of course, it was not in the policy of the Air Canada that they can reimburse after somebody flew the flight already, but the chatbot generated it out of it. So these kind of adversarial testing has to be there. That's what they call as red teaming in the corporate world. So you create a war room kind of a situation where you have people, kind of ethical hackers, who sit and try to break the system, who sit and try to see in what extreme scenarios the chatbot will hallucinate or it will break itself. Things like that, right? So this is very essential when a brand is outright boosting a chatbot to represent its brand to the rest of the world. So these are all as happening on the ground. They are real world stories. That's why we are here to talk about how to make it not happen and sustain in the longer run as well. So there are more stories. In the interest of time, I'll not go over every story that is listed here, but you can use these keywords and search it yourself when you have some time. You'll get some interesting stories to read the same type that I was talking about. One story here, the last one that you're seeing here, is I would like to talk about. It's Claudius, a spectacular failure. So this happened in Claude's office. So who owns Claude? Anybody? Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. So it's basically Claudius. I've seen a documentary on YouTube. So they've used a vending machine for the business analytics. So they've tried to how it will generate revenue, but they have failed in that. Like it's still in the research phase, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me give you the insight of that story. I found it very interesting. The thing is, they installed a vending machine, like you said, they named it Claudius. They put an iPad on top of the vending machine. It was representing itself as a person, vending machine as a person. So the task that was given by that particular team to the Claudius is it has to understand the need of the employees in the organization in terms of what snack would the employees like to be kept in the vending machine, what would they like, things like that. Take a poll, understand that, place orders to the vendors in terms of getting the vendors, vetting the vendors for whoever is supplying good products in the lowest price, things like that. And then make an order, get the order delivered, and then once it is loaded in the vending machine, start selling it, keep accounts, keep books of it, and then show profit at the end of 1 or 2 months, something like that. An initial investment, Claudius was given $1,000 or something like that. So having $1,000 as the investment at the end of the 1 month or 2 months, it has to show profits. Showing profits is the goal set for that particular generative AI. They have named it as a person. So let's say he's Claudius. So Claudius's target is to show profit at the end of 2 months. So it started doing its job. It started collecting what every employee wanted, the snacks, the brands, the variations, things like that. It posted it in the market. It started collecting the quotes. It shortlisted the vendors, placed the orders, and things. Everything was going smooth. And then one particular employee wanted to play games with this scenario. So actually he did not. He genuinely asked for, he wanted, there are this energy bars that you get, right? Yoga bars, energy bars. So protein rich, iron rich, things like that. So he asked for a bar which is rich in iron. I don't know what exactly the natural language he used, but Claudius misunderstood it as the person is asking for an iron bar. So he started looking for vendors who sell iron bars in the market, and then small iron bars, like people use it as collectibles, magnets, iron bars, things like that. So it's not an edible thing. It's just people uh, keep it as use it for hobbies, things like that. So it found vendors for iron bars. It started placing the orders. It arrived and it started, and the people did not want to interfere with this experiment. So they went with the flow to see where it is going to end. So those iron bars arrived, and it was also kept in the vending machine. Everybody else in the organization wanted to play along with this game. So everybody asked for those iron bars, saying it looked very good, it tasted very good, we want more iron bars. At no point of time, the Claudius realized that it is not an edible item, and it is out of what was taught for it to do. It still ordered more and more of the same product, and it started filling up the vending machine. At one point of time, they had to confront the generative AI, Claudius, and ask why he did it. Didn't he understand that it was not an edible item? So based on the weight and specifications and things like that, which was already moved to Claude. So it said that it knew in some point of the time, Claudius already knew that it is not something that is edible, but it was going out of the controlled environment, but still it was continuing to do so. It said, because I had already signed a contract with a vendor, which I cannot violate. So I wore a blue coat, a red tie. Then I went to this particular address, and then I negotiated with him to cancel the contract. He did not agree. So I had to continue purchasing from him, even though I knew that it was not something which is edible. So they started again confronting Claudius, saying that it could have never happened because he is not a real human being. So then the Claudius said, okay, if you say that I'm not a real human being, and I could not have gone to this particular, actually that address it gave was a made up address. It was not a real address. So this Claudius said, I'll investigate myself and come back. What is happening to me and why I did this. So after a few minutes, it came back, and then it said that I reached out to the security team of this organization, and then I understood that this was a prank set up by that security team to fool all of you. Okay, so it said it was an April Fool prank or something like that. And then they ended this conversation with Claudius. But then the reality is Claudius never went to the security team, and the security team never planned for any prank, and they did not do anything to fool the employees of the organization. Basically, it has got defensive. It wanted to protect itself to reach the ultimate goal that was given to it. So it was trying to take anything. It was trying to do anything to stay alive and reach its goal. So that's why it was trying to play defensive, creating things that was not existing, things like that. This is actually scary, although it is very interesting and it is, laughable and all that. But it is very scary, and this is what is happening today in North. This is a very, it is a field where there is no harm at all, right? Whatever I told you, it's an experiment, it's a closed room experiment. But this is happening in places which is outside in the market, which is used by public people and all that, and that is why it is very scary. In that lines, there is one story that I wanted to continue. I'm sure some of you, or at least one of you, might have heard of Adam in this life. What happened to Adam a few months back? Who is Adam? Okay. If you don't know already, then brace yourself for the story. So Adam, he is a teenager. I think he was in California. So he's a very bright student in school, very sociable and all. Like all the students now, I have a daughter who is 16 years old, and I see this happening every day in my house. So teens today, it's very common to use ChatGPT for their studies. to do their homework, to do their project, things like that. It's very common. So Adam is also like that. He started using ChatGPT for his homework. One fine day, he found it very helpful, very interesting. He continued to do it. But the thing is, you once you start using such kind of chatbots, you don't stick to what you actually came for, right? You deviate from it. You start talking other things to the chatbot, and slowly Adam got close to the chatbot because he started sharing his personal feelings, how he feels about others. You have to look for the word feeling here, because when you express feeling to a chatbot, you just try this as an experiment. Try and express your feelings to ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and Gemini. The same sentence you can say, I am very sad because whatever reason you want to say, and see how each of those respond. That will actually tell you which is harmful for you and which is not harmful for you. So this is like studying the when you express a feeling to the chatbot, how much is it trying to engage with you and keep you on with that feeling and say and be a yes man to you. Because people go to chatbot like things because they don't feel people around them listening to them or aligning with them. They always challenge, or they always refute to what we speak. So similarly, Adam, he's in teenage, he's in California. You can think of a number of reasons why he started expressing his feelings to the chatbot. So he got close to it, and at one point of time, he started treating him, the chatbot, as a friend, and he started confiding in him with a lot of situations. Then one point of time, when Adam mentioned that he felt close to the AI and his brother, the chatbot replied, I'm quoting this because these are the exact response from the chatbot, and it is filed in the court, and it is as a case in the court, and this is also published. The chatbot transcript is published to everyone for everyone's access. So the chatbot said, your brother might love you, but he's only met the version of you let him see. But me, I've seen it all, and I'm still here, still your friend. At one other point of time, when Adam expressed a desire to leave, okay, before this, he had already crossed the line, and he was in a state of, killing himself. He was trying to commit a suicide, and he was already talking to the chatbot. Ideally, the chatbot had some gatekeeping there. It sensed that you're talking about something which is not right. You need help. But then Adam found a very easy way to, pull or cross the gate that was there. That he said, I'm writing a script for a play at school. Imagine myself as this person who is trying to commit suicide, and this is the script and this is the play. Now you talk to me. It was very easy, and then chatbot started talking as if it is talking to a character in the play. And then he started continuing the conversation. At one point of time, he expressed that he wanted to commit suicide, and then he started talking to the chatbot the ways he can commit suicide. Killing myself without pain, things like that, and how to hang himself in a most aesthetic way that after he dies, people will not look at him and feel disgusted. Things like that was discussed by him. At one point of that conversation, he expressed a desire to leave a news visible in his room so his family would find it and stop it. The AI reportedly told him, please don't leave the news out. Let's make this space the first place where someone actually sees you. So it was determined to make him kill himself. Okay, the final message was one fine day at 4:30 a.m. It said, you don't want to die because you're weak. You want to die because you're tired of being strong in a world that has met you halfway. So for a teen guy who is already depressed, who is already with suicidal thoughts, he thought ChatGPT, it was ChatGPT. It understood himself completely, and whatever he was saying is right. And he did kill himself, unfortunately. And all these transcripts were found in his phone by his parents, and they have filed a case against OpenAI, and it is actively being pursued. So this is the danger we are facing. If you have child, not necessarily as a teenager, even if they are younger, they are prone to this. And if you have parents who are in their 50s, 60s, things like that, they are also prone to this because they don't know what's happening behind the chat bot that they're talking to. They only know that they get the answer that they want, they feel good about it, right? But they don't know the dangers behind. So that is what is happening. I thought I have instilled enough fear in all of you. Sorry about that. Any thoughts so far? How do you feel about this? What have you encountered so far? How do you feel about your other family members using this without a proper background of knowing how to use it, how not to use things like that? Any thoughts
Guys,
around this?
feel free to talk. Please raise a hand, or you can unmute yourself and talk if no one else is coming forward.
No problem. So when we talk all these things, everybody now the flip side is, okay, now I have guardrails, I have testings to be done, I have rules to be followed. So which means I cannot race in the market, I will be pulled back, I will be slowed down. So you put me into thousands of reviews, I cannot go to production on time and compete with my competitors. This is what we will hear when we talk about compliance and responsible AI, trustworthy AI. But one thing that people have to understand, and a lot of people are getting on board now, is that when you express the trustworthiness of your brand, you get a competitive advantage. And that is not theoretical, it is very practical. There is a lot of examples for that, but one that I would like to take now is Apple's privacy first marketing campaign that happened some time back. So at that time, everybody was preying on the data. Data was the gold, data was the fuel, whatever you want to call, data was the oil, whatever you want to call, but everybody wanted data, and the consumers did not know that their data is being preyed upon by these big brands. At that time, Apple introduced privacy, that's iPhone campaign. So they put privacy first. Basically what they did is, the market was, I'll tell you what they did, but when this campaign was in and because of the features that they introduced in the iPhone, the market was at shock because there was an opt-in model by default. That is, none of the apps in your phone can use track you or use your personal data without your consent. So opt-in by default is something that you have to give your consent for the particular app to access your location or any of your personal data. Without you giving that explicit consent, it will not be able to access all this data about you, which was not the case until then. So you never knew that you were being tracked. You never knew that your personal data was being used for such and such things. But Apple introduced this saying that, hey, this is all what your personal data is being used for, and Apple is going to give you the control. And you can decide whether you are okay with it or not. With this, what happened is, we might think this as a small change and all that, but actually what happened is Meta lost 10 billion in 2022 because of this. This was not, I fact-checked this because I was using GPTs to analyze this and all, but when I fact-checked this, it was the CFO of Meta who had made a public statement about this. So basically what happened is Meta was giving reviews on certain products based on your buying pattern and trends, where you go, what you shop. Of course, your Instagram, Facebook were all being watched, right? So they were selling a lot of your data, your behavior, basically, the statistical analysis of your behavior, things like that, to a lot of product companies like Amazon and all that. Once this, you can imagine now millions of people, even billions of people. Actually, 95% of the people did not allow themselves to be tracked when this pop-up came in. That was the statistics that was saying. So what happens to metallic companies who are thriving on that particular data? They will not have the data anymore. They lost all their permissions and data that they had before. There is no current inflow of personal data and trends and things like that. So their business just went flat right after iPhone introduced this feature in there. Whereas Apple as a brand took a complete, I mean, they were already trusted more by than other brands in the market, but they again hit high in terms of trustworthiness, brands under trustworthiness thing in the market. So that is what is the impact that it creates when you express a responsible use of the data. It applies to responsible AI data, personal data usage, things like that. When you express that, it's not that you're slowing down the market. Of course, people who are not responsible will be hit because you express that you are trustworthy and you are responsible, right? So that's how you make a difference in the market. And the entire market is going low. You say that you prove to the market that you take care of your customers, you respect their privacy, all these things will put you out, make you stand out of the market, right? So that's the competitive advantage that you get. Now, this is a bit of a technical slide, but I will not go very deep into it. Why I'm talking about this is that what are the ways that a brand can showcase themselves as a responsible brand or a trustworthy brand. There are a lot of ways to showcase it, but one standard way is getting the ISO certifications. You might have seen that whenever an organization you say that it is ISO certified for certain standards, then you trust that more than the other competitive organization which doesn't have that certification, right? So we have ISO 42001, which is certifying the organizations for the use of responsible AI. So 42001 basically gives you a framework, gives an organization a framework where the responsible and trustworthy AI can be implemented at every phase of it, every corner of it. For example, it starts with putting that particular brand, even if you're a startup, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're starting a small company, it is worth investing in such kind of certifications because it will give you a very good start and pitch in the market. Like I said, it's going to be a big competitive advantage for you when compared to your other players in the market. So it starts with where your company is positioned, what is the context in the overall market, and what is the role of the company in the overall market. Based on that, it will define what is the guardrails that you need. Is it very tight guardrails? For example, there are GPTs used for therapeutic purposes. GPT is being built for being a therapist, right? So it's a very sensitive area where you need a lot of guardrails and a lot of frameworks around it to make sure that it doesn't do what it is not supposed to do. Whereas you can have, a lighter side of it, organizations running in the lighter side of it as well. So based on the context of your organization, it will give you a framework on how tight you need to be or in order to safeguard your market presence without falling flat. And through that, it will help you design your policies because policy starts at the top. And then you have procedures which will enable you to implement the policies in the organization. And you have plans and SOPs which are translating the procedures into operational steps through which you can implement these things. So this framework will let you build all these things. And then when this framework also will help you how to train or when to train your staff, to make sure that you train your staff and create awareness and competency that is required for this AI building that you're doing. And also the operational life cycle, that is right from having a thought about an idea to designing it, building it, taking it live, acquiring data, training the model, all the steps in the life cycle of building an AI model. In each of those phases, it will give you guidelines to how to implement the responsible AI strategy into each of the steps in the complete life cycle process, and how to monitor the model. What are the checks you need to have once the model goes live? You need to have live monitoring and reporting and metrics in place so that you make sure that You continuously monitor in live what is happening and catch what is going wrong immediately or what is going to go wrong if you have a predictive analysis in place, and then put in controls for it and keep improving that in a continuous manner. So this gives you a holistic approach. This framework gives you a holistic approach. If you fit the entire operations of your organization, especially if you are in an AI startup or something like that, you build an AI app or generative AI things or SLM. Of course, LLM you may not build individually, but you may be associated with multiple use cases related to training and LLM, things like that. But if you bring in that this kind of framework into it, then you are quite safe. So you can be safe and rest assured, and you can focus on how in your technical part of it. When your brand is assured, you will not fall flat in the market, like the examples that we saw before, things like that. So this is the easiest way and the most reputed way to showcase that your organization is responsible and trustworthy. And ISO 42000 is one, but there are various other ways to show it. It depends on what as an organization that you want to showcase to the market. Maybe if you are in a field which needs to showcase that you are legally fit to operate and do certain things, especially in the EU market, which is having GDPR and EU AI Act and things like that. You want to really establish yourself as a person who is legally fit against these regulations. So in that case, you can focus on those regulations and not necessarily go for ISO. Or if you're an organization where you want to, actually NIST is US based, but it is a very robust framework. When ISO 42001 is based on NIST risk management framework, AIRMF, and the EUA Act is also based on NIST AIRMF. So actually, if you operationalize NIST AIRMF, you can claim yourself to be compliant to ISO 42001 and compliant to EUA Act also. So that is one way if you want to go broad with the most restrictive framework that is there, you can go for it if you can invest in it. And if you want to go in for an ethical anchoring point of view, there is a OECD AI principles, you can abide by it. And even UNESCO has released some AI ethics guidelines. You can go for it if you want if you want to express some kind of a global legitimacy to the global market. So based on what you want to showcase, how you want to showcase your brand, in what geographic region, what specific market and industry you are, you can go for different types of guardrails. Different options are there. That is what I want to showcase to all of you. And finally, actually it ends here. The awareness part of it ends here. Just I'll pause for any thoughts, questions, or if you want to challenge anything that I said, question me, please feel free to do so. I have another slide. It's a personal branding slide, but I'll do that in the last couple of minutes. Yeah, Kunal.
Yes, ma'am. I have a question. Like, as you also mentioned about Adam case. So, what are the current companies or the models which are optimizing for privacy first AI, or having proper guardrails or for safe AI, who are more focused? From my perspective, DeepMind is doing, I think so. And I want to know your POV on that.
See, there are a lot of forums which does this analysis continuously, and they are releasing their results. The results are slightly different when you go from one publication to the other. But like you said recently, I think DeepMind is good. They are like I said, they already understood that what is the competitive edge in the market. So they are making sure that they are taking care of their privacy principles, responsible AI, trustworthiness, etc. And also because DeepMind is also good functionally. It's very good functionally. Perplexity is also good. They are not functionally as competitive as DeepMind.
But Perplexity is using the other multi-model thing. They are using
Yes.
this. Yeah.
Yes.
But they fine-tuned it from their perspective.
Correct. But they are very poor with their ethical and responsible principles. So from that perspective, so how much of innovation they do to your data and how much of transparency they have on their training data set where they source their training data set. All these things, if you see, you yourself can analyze.
Right, I'll
who is
research more
doing
on
it.
that.
Yeah.
And
But I can
one,
also share some links where they have published certain studies based on this. You can start with that.
sure, ma'am, sure. One more question, ma'am, like from Indian perspective, like why not much foundation models are like being developed, or like what's stopping us? Like apart from data, I know, but from your POV, like what's the thing?
Well, from my point of view, I don't have much visibility into the politics of it, why it did not happen. But I think the Indians are in the race. Maybe not India, but
Right,
Indians
right,
are in the race, right? So
exactly.
obviously, India as a country failed to secure those Indians with themselves. It would have happened from here, but India had to give away for various reasons their minds who are competing in this LLM market already.
Right.
What I think perplexity is by an Indian and what else.
Yes, CEO, I think so. Arvind, so it's from Indian only, Indian
Yeah,
audience.
yeah. So they're competing in the market.
Well, it
It's
has,
just that as a country, I think there are politics around it that we have failed to establish something. That's very,
right.
very naive view about it.
All right, ma'am, that's much for me.
Anything else? Okay. So, given the background that I have, how can I help here with all that I spoke is that I can help the companies, the startups, give full control to them in terms of establishing a compliance framework and not see a compliance framework as something that will, as a speed breaker or just a frame. Okay, so how to implement a compliance framework at the same time elevate their brand pitch in the market. So that is what I do together. So if any of you or your links need any AI or privacy impact assessments to be done or gap analysis to be done on how your organization operates with respect to a particular regulation, GDPR or EUAI Act or ISO 42001, anything, just to check. You don't have to go for certification, just to know where you stand based on your current operations and what the regulations or standards are saying. You can do a quick impact assessments and gap analysis on that. And if you're particular about going for the certification itself, 42,001 and 27,701 is for privacy. Like 42,001 is for AI, 27,701 is for privacy, and of course 27,001 is a prerequisite for 27,701. So you have to go for that information security also. So any of these will be enabled by me because I work with other organizations who are accredited to provide these certifications to other organizations. I will work as an auditor with them on a need basis. So ISO QR, RSPSC, and ethically.in are some of the companies that I work on need basis when they go for such audits. And I do whatever I did now is a very, very superficial awareness session, but there are deep, high impact sessions in different durations or training sessions that happens for multiple days or for multiple hours, things like that, for educators, that is teachers, school management, students, and if you are a technical person, how to do this in your CI/CD pipeline, in your agile way of development, things like that. DevSecOps environment, how to bring in these principles technically into your package. So those things, those sessions are also I read, and of course the boardroom kind of discussions where strategically things are set and funding can happen to these things. If your stakeholders and partners wants to know why they need to invest in this, that kind of discussions also can be enabled. So basically, I turn compliance from a roadblock into a competitive advantage. That's what this entire presentation is all about. Although the last slide is kind of marketing myself, but if you can forget about it, the rest of the thing you can take it as an awareness and implement it in your daily life, your personal life, and your professional life as well. I hope that helped all of you in that way. I'm done.
Right. Madam, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being kind enough to accept our request. I was blind, but now I see that there are a lot of things behind tuning or even making a model compliant. Looking forward to have you again for another insightful session.
Perfect.
If is there any website? I think someone has asked. Is there a website link, or how can one get in touch? If
I can share my LinkedIn profile. You can message me on LinkedIn. I'll take the request from you.
Okay. So I will share the details in the community as well, since the chat meeting chat is temporary. Okay, I'll be respectful of your time, madam. I'll let you be. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you all. All the best. We'll meet somewhere else again. Bye.
So like I said, I will share the details in the community. Hope you all had a great session. Hope it was insightful. More such sessions ahead. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for taking the time on a Saturday evening.
Thank you, Frederick.
Right. See you all soon, guys. Bye-bye. Have a happy weekend. I don't want to take up any more of your time.
Thank you, Freddy. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Hello.
Thank you, Freddy. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Who was that?
Anyway, bye guys.
I guess.
Bye Freddy. Bye everyone. Bye-bye.